Hello, beautiful yogis. Today's class is a Kripalu Asana, so we're going to go over some basic postures for the Kripalu tradition. So go ahead and take a comfortable seat wherever you are, where it's in the hero pose like I am, or cross-legged. And just take a minute to adjust yourself, start to close your eyes, and come into your internal space. Start focusing on that breath, elongating the breath. We are going to start off the class today by doing some pranayama breath work, also called alternate nostril breathing. So you can keep your eyes open or closed for this if you'd like. Begin by raising your right hand up and grabbing your nose with both your thumb and your pointer finger. You can start by placing your right thumb over your right nostril, inhaling through the left side, and alternating your fingers so that you're exhaling through the right side as well as inhaling on the right side. And then you're going to repeat this going back and forth from each nostril. You're going to always begin by exhaling when you get to the next nostril. And this should be relaxed. The breath doesn't need to be warm or loud here. We're just breathing naturally, maybe slowing the breath down slightly. And what this does is helps balancing both sides of your body, both the right and the left side of the brain, or masculine and feminine sides. You can do this for several minutes or just a couple minutes each morning to feel balanced. So we're going to take our last two breaths and we're going to end on the opposite side that you started on. Coming to a neutral position, dropping the chin to chest and rolling that ear to the right shoulder. So we can begin to work out some kinks in the neck. Just moving gently, starting to wake up the spine. And of course, rolling your neck at your own pace. You can do full circles if that feels comfortable for you. If not, half circles are just as good. Really finding those tight spaces and staying there a little longer if you need to. A good way to warm up when you're at home is to really just start from the top and work your way down. So let's work on our shoulders here, really opening and loosening up those shoulder joints. You can place your hands on top like I'm doing to keep that alignment, especially if you have any shoulder issues. So just rolling the shoulders back nice and big and open. Or you can make them small. Again, always listening to the body. Let's start to go in the opposite direction. And releasing the hands down. Go ahead and remove a cushion or block if you had one up. We're going to come into a seated position, start waking up the spine, opening the chest forward and arching back. Inhaling when you come forward and exhaling when we're rounding the spine. Hands on the knees. And always going at your own pace. And let's start to do some circles with our hips, opening up the spine, allowing the fluid to move, waking up the side body, and let's go in the opposite direction. You can even rock on the hips here slightly, moving the rib cage with the spine, one fluid motion. And coming back to neutral, sitting up nice and tall, reaching your left arm up, leaning over to the side, stretching that side body out, and switching arms, really lengthening those arms. And reaching through the fingertips, keeping that chest nice and open. All right, we're going to do a couple more here. Just making sure to end on the opposite side that you started on. And coming back to a neutral. And let's turn our spine towards the right, grabbing our left hand over our right knee, sitting up nice and tall, and switching to the other side. Keeping that neck nice and long as we switch sides, looking from right to left. Imagine something's lifting you up through the crown. Wonderful, guys. And let's go ahead and come onto our knees and hands into a tabletop position. Shoulders over wrists, knees over hips. Inhaling forward and exhaling into cat. Inhaling the chest forward and exhaling into a big round cat. And of course, I always invite you to move at your own pace here if you feel so. Really waking up that spine, tilting those hips up, and rounding the spine, really following the breath. You can add some extra movement here if you'd like, exploring what feels good. All right, last one. Let's all make our way down onto the mats, coming onto our backs. Let's start to do some core workouts as we build up our heat and our strength. Let's begin by doing some bicycles. We'll do 10, going at a nice slow pace, really controlling the abs here, keeping the legs strong, not crunching the neck, keeping those elbows nice and wide, pointing through the ball of the foot here, and engaging that lower core, really lifting your shoulders up off the mat. Almost there, guys. All right, let's roll ourselves up onto our feet. We're not going to stand completely. We're just going to come into a forward fold, placing our hands out on the mat. We're just hanging the spine. We're going to inhale to lengthen the spine. We're going to bend the right knee and lifting the left arm up to the sky and alternating sides. And bending the right knee and lifting the left arm up to the sky and switching sides. Following your fingers with your eyes. Alternating each leg. As we start to stretch the back of those hamstrings. Spine is long. Really extending those fingers. All right, let's do our last one on the opposite side. We're going to inhale halfway up, so we slowly coming up into chair pose. I'm just adjusting so you guys can see myself better. Really squatting, sitting down, really using the power in your legs here. You can walk your feet together if that's easier for you. Get the arms straight behind you, out in front of you, or palms to chest. And release, forward fold, guys. And slowly roll that spine all the way up, stacking each vertebrae, coming all the way into standing mountain. Feet are going to be hip distance apart here. Step to the front of your mat if you're not already. Shoulders are open, palms are facing forward. Engaging the lower core. Take a moment to focus on your breath, really pressing through the feet down into the earth. Chin is parallel to the floor. Finding stillness and strength in our mountain pose. Extending those fingers even. Seeing what else you can engage in the simple but strong pose. Face is relaxed. Inhale the arms above the head, clasping the fingers together, walking the feet together as we come into standing half moon, pushing those left hips out and really reaching through to the right with those arms. Not collapsing the side body here, and let's come back to neutral and switching sides, pushing the hips out to the right, reaching out to the left. And coming back to neutral. Arms out in front of you. Walk the feet out to hip distance apart, wrapping the arms behind you, placing the back of your hands on your lower back, the front of your hands on your lower back, pushing the hips forward as we come into back bend. Really focusing on the exhale here, not allowing the head to drop, always coming out if you need to, and slowly coming back up into standing position. Arms out by your side. As we prepare for Natarajasana, dancer pose, lifting the right arm up above the head, finding that balance in your right leg, really pressing through the earth. You can see here that I've stood off the mat. Grabbing your left foot with your right arm, really pressing through the top of your foot into your hand. And once you've found your edge, then bend at the hip, keeping your gaze forward, staying focused. And remember, it's okay to fall. That just means that you're pushing yourself. And when you're ready, slowly coming out as graceful as you can as we prepare for the other side. Start by shifting your weight into the left leg, lifting the left arm up, right leg is back, and bending the knee, placing our foot in our right hand, pressing the top of the foot into the hand, engaging that leg, finding a spot in the wall in front of you, and then slowly bending at the hip. And just accepting wherever you're at today. Great job, guys. This can be a really challenging pose. Let's release the arms and the legs and wiggle it out a little bit. Let's prepare for tree pose. Shifting your weight into your right leg. Hands in the hips to start. Finding your drishti, which is a focus of point in front of you. You can place your left foot on the ankle, calf, or inner thigh. Once you've found your grounding here in this tree pose, you can start to play with the arms, slowly lifting them up. Lifting them above the head, maybe turning the corner of your mouth up into a nice little smile. Imagining that your hands are like leaves, beautiful autumn leaves. We're coming into a cactus pose, being a slightly different tree. And release the arms to your hips, dropping the left foot down. And let's shift our weight into the left leg, bending the right knee. Let's try to mirror what we did on the other side. So if your foot was on the ankle, you can keep it on the ankle, the calf, or the inner thigh. And you can always play with each level and see where you can find your edge. And inhaling those arms up above your head, making that beautiful tree, having a big, beautiful smile. And keeping that drishti, that focus point, keep staring at that point in front of you to keep that balance. And keep breathing. Wonderful, guys. And release the arms. And carefully release that right leg back to the earth. And if you're not at the top of your mat, please do so. Coming back into our standing mountain. Palms facing forward, engaging the core. Inhale the arms up. And exhale, palms to chest. And slight bend in the knees. Coming into a forward fold. Really stretching it out here. And grab the back of the calves if you feel comfortable. Keeping a nice bend in the knee as much as you need to. Let's stay here for 3 more breaths. And place your hands on the earth in front of you, stepping back into tabletop, curling the toes under as we prepare for downward dog, and pressing those hips back behind you, keeping that spine nice and long, knees bent here, feet are hip distance apart. Keep your chin tucked into your chest. And start stretching out each calf, pedaling the feet, waking up the back of the hamstrings. Maybe tilting the hips from side to side, stretching those lateral muscles. Let's take 2 more big breaths in here in downward dog. And inhale the right leg up, flexing the foot. And exhale, placing it between the hands. Inhaling up into warrior 1. Legs are strong. Really sinking deep. Hips are facing forward. Back foot, you're really pressing through the ball of the foot into the earth. Arms are nice and strong. Shoulders are dropped away from the ears. should feel like you're engaging through both legs evenly. And if you'd like a more heart-opening warrior one, you can bring your hands in front of you and wrap them around, clasping the hands behind you and opening that chest. Again, this is optional. And lifting that chin slightly up so it's parallel to the earth. And releasing the arms whenever you need to as we come into warrior two. Back foot is down at a 45-degree angle. Really sinking deeper. Looking at both fingertips to make sure they're even. And checking the rib cage here, adjusting it back slightly so you're not leaning too far forward. Really pressing through the outer edge of that back foot. And chest is open. Your lower core is engaged. And place the hands in your hip as we straighten that right front leg. Feet are the same. You may need to walk them a little closer together. You can check if your heels are aligned. Inhale the arms up. Front arm, palm is facing up. Hips are tilted back as we start to lean forward, coming into our triangle pose. Imagining there's a little teacup on our hand and we're trying not to spill it. So we start to lean forward, bringing the right arm down to the inner calf, thigh, or ankle, and left arm is reaching up towards the sky. If you have a block, you can place your bottom hand on a block, or the earth if you can reach. You really want to make sure not to collapse that right side body there. We're keeping the chest nice and open. Facing the earth, the fingertips. And inhaling, slowly coming back up. Both feet are facing forward. Hands are on our hips. Inhale to lean back slightly. And exhale, start to bend to the hips, folding forward. Just giving ourselves a quick little hamstring stretch here. And dropping the hands to the earth. Taking a couple deep breaths here. And inhale, lengthen the spine. Placing the hands on the hips and slowly coming up and stepping to the front of your mat. Back into still mountain pose. Inhale the arms up. Exhale as you bend the knees, swan diving down to the earth, forward fold. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale, step back. Come to tabletop. Curl the toes under. We're going to press back into downward dog. As we prepare for the other side, inhale the left leg up, stepping it in between the hands, and inhale those arms up above the head. Really using those glute muscles, pressing through the ball of that back foot. Nice 90-degree angle with the front leg. Should be able to see your toes. You can keep the arms above the head the whole time, or you can mirror and do the same as what you did on the other side. First by bringing your hands and arms out in front of you and wrapping them around as you clasp them behind you, opening up that chest. Really focusing on your breath here, controlling the heart rate. Engaging through the legs. And releasing the arms in front of you as we come into warrior two. Adjusting, dropping that back foot down at a 45-degree angle. Checking your arms by looking at the front fingertips and the back fingertips. And trying to sink a little bit deeper here. Gaze is looking forward, and let's take 2 more full breaths. And releasing the hands to your hips, straightening the front leg, adjusting that back foot to a 45-degree angle. Tilt the hips back. Reach both arms up, front palm facing forward, and start to lean towards that front leg. We're balancing that teacup on our palm, being really careful not to spill it. Coming down to find your edge, and gracefully opening those arms up. Right arm reaching towards the sky, left fingertips reaching towards the earth. Chest is open here. Gaze is looking down or towards the fingertips. Focusing on the breath. Really pressing through the feet into the earth. As we start to come up, lifting through the right fingertips and right side body. Feet are facing forward. Hands are on your hips. Inhale, lean back slightly. And exhale as we start to bend forward, keeping the spine long. And releasing the arms, rounding the spine. Let's stay here for 2 more full breaths. Really stretching the back of the legs here. And on your next inhale, place your hands in your hips. Spine is long and lifting slowly back up as we step to the front of our mat. Back into still mountain. Inhale the arms above the head. And exhale as we swan dive down to the earth. Forward fold. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale, release. Grabbing the back of the calves. And placing the hands on the earth, stepping back, coming into downward facing dog. One more full breath here. And inhale, look up, dropping the knees, coming into a plank position. So we start to bend the elbows, bringing our nose and then chest to the earth, curling our hips up, pausing for a moment, and then dropping the hips down to the earth, bringing our legs together, chin on the mat. And on our next inhale, we're going to inhale up into baby cobra. And together, inhale up, tucking those elbows into the rib cage. And releasing the chin back down to the mat, chin or forehead. Let's do this one more time. And inhaling up, coming into cobra. Come up as far as you can, keeping those elbows bent, really tucked into the rib cage, dropping the shoulders away from the ear. Face is relaxed. And slowly release back down to the earth. Chin to mat. Straighten the arms out behind you at a 45-degree angle. You can open the legs up a few inches here. On our next inhale, we're going to inhale the chest up. And then the legs. Arms and hands are still on the floor. Really engaging those glutes. And release. Dropping the chin back down to the mat. And we'll do this again. Next, inhale, chest up, legs up. Now let's lift our arms up, bring them out to the side, behind you, or see if you can extend them in front of you. Coming into boat, maybe rocking back and forth with the breath. And then dropping the palms to the earth, placing your forehead on your palms, and windshield wipering your legs out to release that lower back. And release the legs back down. Placing our arms behind you, palms facing the earth, roll both hands underneath you. Thumbs are facing out, chins on the mat here as we come into half locust. Really pressing your hips into your forearms. And your next inhale, lift that right leg up, really extending back, pushing through the ball of the foot. Engaging those right glutes. Pressing through the earth, through the forearms. And slowly releasing that right leg back down. And let's do the left side. Next inhale, lifting that leg up. Really pressing through the ball of the foot. Really reaching behind you. Engaging all the muscles in that thigh. And release. Roll your arms from under you, turning one cheek to the mat. And just offer your weight to the earth for a moment. And let's come up into child's pose. Opening your knees out as wide as the mat. Toes are touching. And sit back on your heels. Really sinking into this posture. Finding our breath here. And let's take about 3 more full breaths in child's pose. And let's inhale the head up, coming up on your fingertips and walking yourself back, bringing the knees in together and sitting back onto your heels. It's what we call a hero pose. You can grab a block here if you need one. And if you have difficulty clasping your arms behind you, you may want to grab a belt or a strap. I like to place a towel out in front of me, just a little extra cushion for my head. So sitting up nice and tall, inhale the arms in front of you, and exhale as you wrap them behind you, clasping your hands or grabbing a belt. Chest is open, arms are engaged, and we're going to exhale slowly, bringing our forehead to the mat, keeping our hips on our heels. And if you can reach your forehead all the way to the mat without lifting up your heels, you can go into the next phase, or you may just want to stay here, keeping the arms engaged. The next inhale, lift the hips up off the floor, rolling onto the crown of your head. Still keeping the arms very engaged here. Make sure to keep the shoulders away from the ears as we don't want to crunch the neck. This can be really delicate. So listen to your body. This is a pose of surrender. So this can be really challenging for some of us. And to come out, we're going to roll on from the crown to the forehead, just like we came into the pose. Keeping the arms engaged until we're sitting back into our hero position. And we're going to come into a seated position, bringing the soles of our feet together and making a nice diamond shape in front of you. Keeping that spine nice and tall and long as we start to lean forward, opening up those inner thighs. And just following the breath here. Keeping the spine nice and long, grabbing the ankles or the feet. And once you've found your edge, this is also a nice posture to use a block. You can rest your forehead on the 3 different levels of the block. This is especially nice if you can't reach your forehead all the way towards your feet. This is a good way to relax and curve the spine here so we can sink into the posture. So wherever you are, we're going to take about 3 more full breaths here. The spine is rounded, the head is dropped. And just release. On the next inhale, straighten the spine, sitting all the way up. Extending your legs out in front of you. And let's bend the right leg, bringing the right foot to the left inner thigh. Inhaling the arms up straight above you. Exhale, bending at the hip. Left leg is straight and left foot is flexed. Really reaching out in front of you. If this hurts your lower back, you can go ahead and drop the hands to the earth. And once you've found that edge, go ahead and round the spine, dropping the forehead to the knee, and grabbing the ankle, calf, or foot. And let's take a few deep breaths here, allowing the back of the leg to stretch, really open up that muscle. On your next inhale, look up and lengthen the spine, and slowly walk your fingers back up to seated, releasing that right leg. And let's switch sides, bending the left knee, placing the left foot on the inner right thigh, straightening that right leg, right foot's flexed. Inhale the arms up above the head, bending at the hip as we start to come forward. And again, if this hurts your lower back, you can always drop your arms to the earth. And reach, 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 and release the spine and the head, dropping the head to the knee as far as you can, and grabbing the back of the foot, ankle, or calf. And again, let's stay here for a few breaths, mirroring the other side. And as we inhale, look up, lengthening that spine, walking your hands back up to a nice tall position, releasing the left leg. And let's do both legs. Inhaling the arms above the head, And then placing them, see if they can reach flat on the earth, keeping your feet flexed. And as you start to lean forward, you can keep the hands on the earth here or above the head. You can bend the knees as much as you need to. And once you've found that edge, grabbing the back of the feet, ankles or calves, and round the spine and drop the head. And this posture is called Paschimottanasana. Very long Hindu word. And inhale and lengthen the spine. Walking the hands back about a foot behind you. Palms are facing out. Legs are engaged. On the inhale, we're going to inhale and lift the hips up, coming into inclined plane. Beautiful. Inhaling up. And dropping the head behind you if that's comfortable, but being really careful here. And exhale, bringing the hips back down to the earth. With your legs out in front of you, we're going to bend the right knee, placing on the outside of the left thigh. And if both hips are rooted on the earth, you can tuck that right foot underneath you, sitting up nice and tall. We're going to hug that right knee in with the left arm, hugging it nice and close, adjusting the belly if you need to. And following the right thumb all the way behind you as you come to a nice twist, spine is long, and then placing the hand on the mat behind you. Gaze is looking towards your right. And release the arms as you come to the other side for a nice counter stretch. And let's untwist the legs here. Doing the opposite side, placing the left leg on the outside of the right thigh, tucking that right foot in if you did so on the other side. Sit up nice and tall, hugging that knee in. Left thumb is out, bringing it all the way around, and dropping the hand to the mat. Bringing that gaze all the way to the left, keeping that spine nice and long. Make sure that both hips are both rooted down into the earth here. Let's take one more full breath here. Release the arms and do a nice counter stretch to the right side. And let's untwist the legs, and we're going to come into our backs. Keeping the knees bent. Lying flat on the earth. Walking your heels in close to your hip bones. If you do have a block at arm's reach, you can place it between your knees. And this is a good measurement of needing to know how far apart they should be. And so you can keep the block between your knees, or you can drop it down to the side. Placing your hands on your lower abdomen, making a diamond shape, and let's rock our hip bones back and forth, waking up the lower back. Using the breath. And release the arms. On the next inhale, we're going to lift the hips up, clasping the hands underneath us. Really pushing those hips up. You can also place the block under your hips if you'd like a more relaxed bridge pose. We're going to hold this for a few moments. Just do the best you can. Make sure you're not putting any pressure on the neck here. Arms are engaged. And release. Walk the feet out, windshield wiper the legs. And bending our knees, let's hug our knees into our chest. We're going to roll back, rolling our hips into our hands, shifting our weight into our shoulders, keeping the knees bent. Feet are flexed as we come into half shoulder stand. If you're on your period or pregnant, this may not be a good posture for you. And slowly extend the legs, keeping them straight at an angle. Feet should be directly over the head. Should be no discomfort in the neck. If so, come out. All your weight should really be in the elbows, shoulders, and in your hands. And if it's in your practice, you can bring your feet behind your head, coming into plow. And slowly supporting the hips, you're going to roll down on the spine, being really careful here. Just going vertebrae by vertebrae. And then lastly, dropping the legs down, hugging the knees into your chest, giving yourself a nice hug. You may want to stay here if you have any neck injuries. You can just stay in this pose. And releasing the legs straight out in front of you. Arms to the earth, palms facing down. We're going to tuck our arms underneath us, hands under the hips, palms facing the earth as we come into fish pose. Legs are strong, engaged. On the next inhale, we're going to press through the forearms, lifting our chest up, opening the throat and coming on to the crown of the head. Being really careful here. There should be no weight on the neck. And if you're very familiar with this pose, you can lift the legs up slightly. But if not, I don't encourage you to do so unless you're really comfortable here. Throat and chest is open. All the weight should be in the elbows and the forearms as you press through the hands, engaging the legs. This is our fish pose. And please come out whenever you're ready, releasing the arms. And let's roll onto our left side, stacking the knees and ankles. Arms are straight out in front of you. We're going to open up that right arm like a nice big rainbow as we bring the right shoulder to the earth, bringing our gaze to the right side. And you can assist that top leg by grabbing it with the left hand, or maybe straighten that top leg for a deeper stretch. Just be prepared to stay here for a few moments. And let's go ahead and release that top leg if you were grabbing that top foot. And start to roll onto the other side, letting the right knee guide the way, maybe adjusting your hips in the mat. Rolling to the right side, knees and ankles are stacked. Palms together, facing forward and opening them up like a big rainbow. Bringing the left shoulder back to the earth. And mirroring whatever you did on the left side, try to do the same for the right. And let's stay here for a few breaths. And let's release that top leg. And bringing the left knee and then right knee up, coming back to the center of your mat. As we prepare for Shavasana, if you have any last poses you'd like to do, I encourage you to do so now. If not, get comfortable, grab a blanket or an eye mask. We'll do about a 10-minute Shavasana. I'm actually going to exit the screen here as the sun was hitting me. But if you'd like to do a longer Shavasana, you're always welcome to do so. You can just pause the video here and set a timer on your phone. Or if not, I am happy to bring you out when the end of the 10 minutes is up. So go ahead and get comfortable and just offer yourself to the earth. Just let all the work that you've done really sink in. Allowing all of your 12 energy streams to just reset. Alright, beautiful yogis. If you're ready to come out of your Shavasana, please do so. If not, stay as long as your body needs to. I just want to say namaste and thank you so much for doing practice with me today. Bless you all. Thank you so much.